Hi everybody from New York, it's Sina again, and this video is about 10 realities of life in New York as an immigrant. If you're new to my channel, I'm originally from Norway. I'm a singer, model, and energy therapist, and I've lived in New York City for years. So, my list, let's start. Number 1, people view you as a foreigner no matter how long you lived here. I noticed that I will always be that Norwegian girl. No matter how long I've known somebody here, they don't think about me and my essence first, usually. That sounded a little weird, but I'm in the category as, oh, that's that Norwegian girl, just like I think about my French jazz drummer that I play with sometimes here. Oh, that's the French drummer. So yeah, it just feels interesting to become aware of the fact that people view you through a certain lens because you're not from here. It doesn't have to be good or bad, it's just you're the Norwegian girl in my case. Second thing, culture shock to the American way of doing business. This is probably not true for every workplace here, but it just comes from my modeling experience. I work as a fitting model here, and I've done it for years. And when I go and work for certain companies, and I am used to rights that I have or I would have if I worked in Europe, they are not there in the same way. I know that we have usually an exceptional system in Europe, in a lot of European countries, especially in Scandinavia. But what I really mean is that there seems to be two ways of acting here, and I don't feel like it's the same way where I'm originally from in Norway. Here I have gotten the sense that there's two lanes of personality that's available to people that are in business. It's the business mode, where it's allowed to do things that aren't necessarily okay or nice because business is business. And then there's the personal mode where you wouldn't really treat people like that. So obviously I'm not saying that people in other countries or people in other cities than New York wouldn't do what's best for their business at all times. But I feel like workers' rights are being stomped on more in New York City. But I'm sure that's also changing as we all are evolving. It's just that, yeah, it's something that I can see as an immigrant is different here. Number 3, it kind of also has to do with work. I don't need to talk too much about this, but people work much longer hours here compared to Europe, and they have much less vacation time. So yeah, I don't think I need to expand on that. If you come here for work, you'll see for yourself. I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but it seems to me that the 9-to-5 jobs here aren't really 9-to-5 at all. They are much more demanding in the corporate world, at least. Many more hours. If you immigrate and your dream is to really stay here, just be prepared for that your immigration journey might take much longer than you hope for, and it might take twists and turns. There's so much paperwork to provide, and there's so many steps, and yeah, it's exhausting. So depending on where you're from, you really have to think if it's worth it. If you are lucky to be born in a country that has better living standards, and yeah, seriously consider if it's worth all the trouble and all the money to come here to New York, because it is really hard. And once you do have everything set up, it's not over. Like that's when the struggle to pay the bills start, in a way, you know. On that note, it is very expensive to live healthily in New York City compared to Europe. When I make healthy choices here in this city, in terms of food, taking care of my body with fitness and stuff, it feels like I am making luxurious splurges just because I'm buying something without chemicals, or yeah, doing something similar to that. Whereas in Europe, it's just different in any other, in a European city. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind. If you are a health nut, it's gonna be pretty expensive for you to even have a baseline health routine here, depending on how you define that. But at least for me, and I don't think I'm really extravagant based on European standards. This city is supercharged with energy, and you'll miss that energy when you're away. And that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing as an immigrant, because it can get a lot to be here. And I think the best balance would maybe be if you would be able to go upstate regularly, rent a house or something to kind of reset your nervous system away from the city. That's why people have weekend homes that can afford that here. And yeah, when you do travel someplace else as an immigrant, you'll you'll see that New York has this special kind of energy that kind of you become a part of, and it becomes a part of you, and it's hard to let go of that identity. On that note, this is point number, I forgot what point number this is, but anyway, you kind of feel like you live between two worlds as an immigrant in New York, because this place, even though I lived here so many years, it doesn't feel 100% home. And then when I do go home to Norway, that doesn't feel 100% home either, because I've been away for so long. And yeah, but I was talking to my friend yesterday, and we agreed on that famous quote, that home is where the heart is. So yeah, I think you can have more homes than one in a way, but it's just a very interesting feeling as an immigrant to feel rootless in a way. And that kind of brings me to the next point again, which is that it takes a focused effort to meet people on a deeper level here, at least for an immigrant from Europe, or at least for an immigrant named Sina. This city requires paying the bills, which means you've got to spend a lot of time chasing money, working if you have a job, working long hours. And there's so many people everywhere, but finding those special ones that share your values, it can take years, and you might not find them here. It's a very transitory city in many ways, and you can definitely find some good pals and some international friends and a cool crew. But unless you you really settle down here. um, yeah, it takes like a focused decision, like I am going to find someone to connect with now and spend time on that, like as a task. um, yeah, because there's so many other things that's grabbing your attention that you need to tend to, and and there's the other people that you can meet, they are all also on that boat. So yeah, it requires an intentional, focused choice to meet your crew here. Last point, which is the coolest thing I think about being an immigrant in New York City, is that you'll become incredibly resilient. With all the stuff that you gotta deal with yourself here, especially if you don't have a partner, or for some, even if you do have a partner, my gosh, you become resilient. In my other video, I talked about how you really need to be able to think on your feet here. So that's something that you definitely need to lean into. And moving multiple times throughout your stay. I've lived here so many years. I've moved so many times because things change constantly here. Neighborhoods change, your job situation changes, your personality changes. So in a way, it's really cool that you can just, you know, move to 1 mile away and it's a completely different vibe. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting to run from, disappointment to that appointment, and just deal with the city and all the noise and all the stress. And it's a choice. So, that's, if you want to immigrate here, that's what you're signing up for, and you're getting plenty of interesting experiences, art, interesting people, interesting restaurants. I mean, the top restaurants in the world. And yeah, it's definitely worth it because it's chiseling your character, and it makes you really prove to yourself how strong you are mentally and physically too. And it makes you respect the capacity of what a human being can do, not necessarily for yourself, but just looking around you and seeing the grit and seeing the innovation and the will of somebody who comes here with a vision, who comes here wanting to create something and wanting to collaborate, wanting to make a difference, wanting to add beauty to the world, and having so many setbacks that the city offers, and then still doing it and never giving up. So I'll leave you with that. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.